It's been very obvious over the last several weeks that Disney and Lucasfilm are going all in on Ahsoka with Dave Filoni. They're doing everything they can to market this thing. They have tie-ins with the theme parks. They have special fan events that are going on. And of course, they even moved up the time slot to 9 p.m. Eastern for when they release this on Disney Plus to try to make it some sort of an event. And it's no secret why. The last several shows for Disney Plus, when it comes to Star Wars, have been terrible. When you look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, Mando Season 3. They need a big win, but will Ahsoka live up to the hype? That's the question that a lot of people have, and the first 2 episodes have just dropped, and I'm here to give you my thoughts. Now, I'm going to give you spoiler-free thoughts, and then we'll get into spoilers. I'm not going to get anything super detail-oriented in terms of the plot in the non-spoilers. I'm just going to give you the pros and cons of what I felt the first 2 episodes of this series gives you. And then I'll give you a spoiler warning, and I'll get into the details and the breakdown for episode 1 and 2. Overall, I can't say I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. There were some positives, so let me get to those. I think the music overall was really solid. Some questionable decisions in some moments, and I'll talk about those, but overall, I think the music was very, very good. If you are a Rebels fan, you're probably going to love this. If you are one of the people that watch Rebels on Disney XD or you picked it up on streaming, you're probably going to love seeing some of your characters come to life. My problem with some of these characters coming to life is a lot of them don't feel like they're characters. I think that Sabine was solid and Chopper felt like Chopper. Other than that, I think it was pretty rough. Some of my cons are how these characters feel. Ahsoka is flat as hell. I've made a video specifically outlining why I think Ahsoka and Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka is so flat and emotionless and just doesn't work. It was like to the next level in this. She's a very bland, very monotone, very plain character. That's the way she's portrayed. That's not the character of Ahsoka that we've known. Obviously, Clone Wars, she was younger, but even Rebels as an adult, that's not the Ahsoka that we know. I don't think it's a very good portrayal at all. Very stiff acting for Hera by Mary Elizabeth Winstead as well. Those characters on screen, there's no chemistry, there's no life there, it's just dead. I do think Ray Stevenson as Balon really stood out. He had a very good screen presence. And another positive was the style that they decided to go for. I do think there was some good moments in there in terms of shots that they used, establishing shots, trying to make it feel like Star Wars. Even transition wipes, like the blurry wipe of the screen at different moments to really make you feel, hey guys, this is Star Wars. I don't think they hit the mark on it when it came to does it feel like Star Wars, but you can tell there's a genuine effort there. So there's some positives. When it comes to some negatives, the show was very, very slowly paced. There's about an hour and a half total between 2 episodes, and it did not need to be that long. It's like you had characters just sitting there. You could tell they're contemplating things. You could have skipped over it way quicker than they did. Very gratuitous shots, maybe because Dave Filoni's expecting you to feel just so much emotional weight. But I do think another negative is if you're not a Rebels fan, you're not going to give a fuck about a lot of this stuff, to be honest with you. I think in general, it's terribly acted. Everybody feels very stiff and not very believable, except for those exceptions that I kind of called out. When it comes to who's involved in this story, at least what we've seen so far and what we're expected to see going forward, it's the elephant in the room that it is a lot of women in this story. The Force is female when it comes to this show. Balon is really the only person that's not just a side or background character who's a man that's involved in this. All the rest of them, whether you look at Morgan, whether you look at Shin, whether you look at Ahsoka, whether you look at Hera, whether you look at Sabine, it's all women. Very heavy female on this. Now, it's a Rebel sequel series where Kanan is dead, Ezra's missing, Thrawn is missing. They certainly could have used Callus or somebody like that to maybe balance this out, but no, they didn't want to do that. This is the story they decided to tell. It's up to the beholder whether you think it's too girl power, too female empowerment, as opposed to just being focused on them being good characters, but that definitely is going to be present in this show moving forward. Overall, I think you're going to hear a lot of, it was good, but, I liked it, but, and you're going to have people saying, you know, it wasn't what I expected, it didn't live up to the hype, but I think the potential's there. I think you're going to hear a lot of that when it comes to this series. Overall, it was flat, it was bland, it was a little bit emotionless and pointless at times. But I do think that if you are familiar with these characters, there's going to be people that really, really love what they see on screen, seeing the characters that they know, the ships that they know come to life. I think there's going to be a large percentage of people out there that feel that way if they're fans of Rebels. But with all that being said, spoiler alert, once again, all right, let me get into spoilers now. Once again, Qui-Gon Jinn is the only motherfucker in the galaxy that has taken a lightsaber to the gut or abdomen and died, apparently. Because at the end of this first episode, I'm going to get to the whole thing laid out, but at the end of the first episode, fucking Sabine takes a lightsaber right through the chest, abdomen area, and it's just fine. Ahsoka finds her. They get her to the hospital. She's all good to go. Like, how many times does this have to happen? Like, Qui-Gon just got fucked over. Is that what you're trying to tell us? It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's start from the beginning. Morgan Elsbeth, the character that Ahsoka found and captured in The Mandalorian Season 2 when she was looking for Thrawn. She is in custody in a New Republic transport ship, and she is broken out by Balon. There's some cool shit in there, some cool moments, just, hallway scene, lightsaber action, stuff like that. You can tell they're clearly outmatching all the New Republic security, and they end up breaking her out because they're all in it together to find Thrawn. You do a little bit later on hear something about Balon and Shin. They don't know who Shin is. They don't know where this apprentice came from, but Balon was part of the Jedi Order years and years ago before the fall of the Republic. That's really all we know about him. Then you transition to Ahsoka. Ahsoka is looking for a map that Morgan Elsbeth told her about in some ancient temple. It's a long, very drawn-out scene that does not need to be that long and drawn out. I think it's supposed to remind you a little bit of Indiana Jones, archaeology kind of thing. She twists a couple things and finally finds this orb she's looking for. She comes out as confronted by droids, and these droids don't seem to pose too much of a threat to her. There's some awkward lightsaber and jumping sequences. Some of the lightsaber combat overall, I'm not going to talk about it every time it happens. Overall, the lightsaber stuff is very inconsistent. Sometimes it looks slow and weird. Sometimes it looks solid. I think it just depends on how it's being shot at the time and if they're doing close-in stuff or if you're actually getting a view of the people that are doing these things. But Ahsoka's able to handle some of them before they say, hey, we're going to go to self-destruct mode to protect that map or protect this area. And she starts running. And the explosion that goes off is like a nuclear bomb from a couple droids that are self-destructing. It just demolishes, look like kilometers worth of area. That's kind of what it seems to be. Ahsoka's able to get on her ship at the last moment. It's being piloted by Huyang. Now, if you're familiar with that droid, he showed up in Clone Wars and stuff like that. He's a Jedi droid. He's with Ahsoka now on their kind of old Jedi transport. They immediately get a call to get introduced to General Syndulla, Hera Syndulla, who is acted terribly, in my opinion, does not feel like the character at all, but to let Ahsoka know that Morgan Elsbeth has escaped custody, that there's some rogue Jedi or something, some Force users that are involved in it, and she reveals the map. Hey, I think this is the key to getting Ezra and Thrawn. Now, for you non-Rebels viewers, if you don't know what's going on, I don't know what to tell you other than watch Rebels. Now, they try to do a little bit of introduction to who Thrawn is and who Ezra is, but if you're not familiar with those things, you're not going to know. You're simply not going to understand, at least at this point through the first 2 episodes. But Hera basically says, I think I know someone who can unlock that map for you. Apparently, the only person in the world that can decipher symbols is fucking Sabine Wren. So over on Lothal, Sabine is still over on Lothal from where she was at the end of Star Wars Rebels. She skips an award ceremony, and they do this weird speeder bike scene where they're playing rock music. It does not fit. It's weird. Just to show you what a badass and a rebel she is. She's asked to come back. She doesn't. She does some fancy flying to show you how incredible she is. But she's in the communications tower that Ezra used to live at. That's where she's at. She's remembering Ezra. She plays the old holo message from Ezra. You don't get too much Ezra in it for me to really feel whether he's a good representation of the character or not, but you do see a little hologram. Ahsoka shows up, basically explains to her what's going on. This might be the key to finding Ezra. Can you help us open this little orb thing that's a map? And we find out in this conversation that Ahsoka used to be her master, that Sabine was her Padawan in some way, shape, or form. It's still not clear how or to what extent, or if she can at all, use the Force. We get a mention in episode 2, she's not very good or not very proficient or something like that, but it's not very well explained if she's actually a Jedi apprentice in the Jedi ways, but is not Force sensitive, or what exactly is going on here. She says, yeah, but I'm going to have to take it somewhere else. Ahsoka tells her no. She does what she wants to anyway. She basically steals it, goes back to the old comms towers for peace and quiet. Very long moments, drawn out moments of Ahsoka talking to Hera, Sabine trying to figure this out. It didn't need to be that long, didn't need to take that long. It really dragged on. But finally, she figures it out just by looking at the hologram that, oh, I just need to turn it so the symbols are all in a line. No shit, Sherlock. They do that. And she finds some sort of star map, the map to finding Thrawn and potentially Ezra. But then Balon's apprentice Shin comes with droids to take it back. The droids overpower her. They steal it. And we have a lightsaber duel between Shin, Balon's apprentice, Ray Stevenson's apprentice, the dark side apprentice, and Sabine, who has Ezra's old lightsaber. Now, we have seen Sabine train in lightsaber combat. We know that this is a thing from Rebels, so it's not surprising she can handle a weapon. But going up against someone who's force sensitive and can use the force is a little bit crazy. They duel as Ahsoka tries to come to rescue, and Shin ends up winning. It should be over quickly if she could use the force, and Sabine can't. Sabine wasn't being shown to use the force at all. It's stupid, to be honest with you. The fact that she's able to hold her own like that against a force user who could just very easily force choke, force push, do anything rather than just do a clean lightsaber duel. But stabs her like right here, basically. Like this is where she gets stabbed, right in that area. And she's just fine. That's the end of the episode. Episode 2 begins with her waking up in the hospital bed with Ahsoka there, realizing that she lost the map. Ahsoka goes back to the communications tower. So this is all episode 2 now. I know I'm going really quick through this, but I'm trying to not waste everybody's time and just give you a simple breakdown of this thing. Ahsoka goes back to where the attack happened in Ezra's old place where Sabine was staying in the old communications tower and finds there's a droid that's still there hanging out that didn't leave when they escaped with the map. She cuts off its heads, brings it back to Sabine, who just so happens to know all the technical things associated with reading its memory. We know Sabine's skilled in this. That's not like a, oh, crazy, women are just good at everything thing. Sabine is skilled in this. And she's able to find out that it originated from Corellia, from the shipyards in Corellia. So that is where Hera and Ahsoka head to. While all that's happening, Balon and Shin and Morgan Elsbeth, they have the map. They're on a different planet. I forget the name of it, Seaport or something like that. I forget the exact name of that planet. But they have the map and they start reading it. She explains that the tech is used, it's from a different galaxy, and that this map shows a pathway into a different galaxy. That's where Thrawn is. That's what they need to be able to open or get to or something to be able to get Thrawn. After that happens, you see Hera and Ahsoka at the shipyards talking to kind of a manager guy who seems a little bit shady. Doesn't seem like he's being truthful. Seems like everybody there is giving him weird looks. It's clear what's going to happen from the beginning. These people are still loyal in some way, shape, or form to the Empire. They're not big fans of the New Republic. In fact, it looks like there's things that are happening. There's parts that are being taken to other places. And when they finally get confronted, they try to ambush Ahsoka and Hera. They destroy them. They wipe the floor with them. But there is a big hyperdrive that looks like it belongs to a big capital ship, not something New Republic's building right now, that is escaping. Ahsoka and Hera try to go chase it. Ahsoka gets in a duel with another one of these droids, and what looks to be someone, like you can't tell if they're an Inquisitor, if they're a real person, if they're part droid. You don't know. A mystery, another mystery lightsaber duelist force user. They give off Inquisitor vibes. We have another lightsaber duel. While that happens, you have Hera and Chopper that go and they try to track it down. They're not going to try to shoot it down. Chopper is good in this. I think Chopper's a positive in this. To me, Chopper feels the most like his character from the cartoon. They really brought his personality to life. If you love Rebels, you love Chopper, you're probably going to like Chopper's parts in this. But they get a tracking device on this hyperdrive unit that's being transported. It jumps to hyperspace. They're good to go because they know where it's going. There's parts of this lightsaber duel that, again, feel like that there's moments that are awesome. They look cool as shit. There's other moments that look slow and ungainly and weird. But there is a point in time where the Inquisitor type person starts running away. They throw their double-bladed Inquisitor lightsaber, the spinning lightsaber, Jesus, and they throw that thing away and they start running as the shuttle comes down, and the shuttle looks like it just shoots Ahsoka to pieces, but she's perfectly, like, it was a weird scene. It's supposed to make her look cool, but it looked kind of dumb in my opinion. And then she looks so super cool when she just barely dodges the lightsaber as it comes flying back as they escape. Sabine has been talking to Huyang as she recovers from her lightsaber wound to the gut that really isn't that big of a deal anymore because this is Disney Star Wars, and realizes she wants to be a Padawan to Ahsoka again. She puts all of her Mandalorian armor back on. She cuts her hair, and they have this scene from the end of Rebels. Now, this is a big retcon. Like, Sabine's hair was cut. This is just a complaint I have. This is a big retcon from what we saw at the end of Rebels. Sabine's hair was already cut. They already had this thing established when Ahsoka came to the planet. They mixed things up a little bit. They have her do this cutting her hair in some sort of ceremonious, I'm ready to be back kind of thing. And they have the moment at the painting, at the portrait, at the mural of all the Ghost crew with Ahsoka there looking all Gandalf-like. That's not where the episode ends, because we find out that they're delivering that big hyperdrive to where Morgan Elsbeth is. She's on holocommunication with Balon and everybody else. And they're installing this final hyperdrive into this big, massive ring. It looks like it could be a massive hyperdrive ring or something to open a portal into something. And this is the way that they're going to utilize. This is the thing that they're going to use to find Thrawn, either opening a portal to find him or going there to find him. It's not quite sure. They call that thing the Eye of Sion, spelled like Darth Sion from KOTOR, just another random thing thrown out there, random tidbit. Overall, I feel like the first 2 episodes drag. It did not need to be that long. To me, it felt very flat, very emotionless, very hollow. That's how the entire thing felt to me. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people out there that don't feel that way, but it just didn't come off well. It felt like somebody who was trying to remind you of these things and do a facsimile of this is what Star Wars is supposed to feel like, right? But these characters, this is a Rebels continuation. It is the next season of Rebels. And if you're not in tune with those characters, if you don't like those characters to begin with, I don't know how much you're going to be able to connect to this story or be into what they have going on in front of you. Overall, I don't think it's a premiere that lived up to the hype. I think a lot of people are still going to be excited about it, but I think you're going to hear a lot of, I liked it, I loved it, but it was kind of slow, but Ahsoka was kind of flat, but these characters didn't feel like these characters, but it probably didn't need to drag that long. That's kind of what I feel most people are going to be saying about it, but there you go. That's the breakdown and my synopsis, my review of the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. Overall, I don't think this is a home run. I think they're going to get a lot of good social media reactions out of this, undoubtedly, because there is a fan base for Ahsoka and for Rebels that is pre-existing, that is out there. Those people are going to be really into this. Are the normies going to get drawn in? That I'm not so sure about. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below, and I'll talk to you later.